continue. Holidays are over, people.
As we get into January and our post-holiday hangover, the movie landscape is pretty barren in terms of new releases. This is a good time to maybe look back a couple weeks to movies that were released before the end of the year that perhaps you have missed. And I did that this past weekend with the movie The Iron Claw. Now, I had seen this trailer several months back and it looked pretty interesting. And my son, who's a big wrestling fan, really wanted to see it. So on a rainy Saturday night in early January in Philadelphia, he and I trekked down to the landmark Ritz in Center City to check out the film The Iron Claw.
It was a dark and rainy night.
Now, this was released by A24 Studios back on December 22nd. Now, about 2 years ago, if I would have seen that it was an A24 film, I might have avoided it. I always felt that A24 films were just the strangest and oddest things. But over the last year and a half, something exciting has happened. They've started to put out some really high quality films across several genres like X, The Whale, Talk to Me, and Everything Everywhere All at Once, my favorite film of 2 years ago. So what do we have here? Does this movie add to the list of A24 Studios' recent high-level successes, or is it going to be some odd movie that you walk out of not really getting what you saw? Well, before we answer that, let's talk a little bit about the plot to the movie The Iron Claw.
Wrestling. Wrestling is good. Who's your favorite wrestler?
So The Iron Claw is based off the true story of the inseparable Von Erich brothers. They're a wrestling family who, under the shadow of a domineering and borderline abusive father, try to rise to the top of the field of professional wrestling. Now, their father, he was never able to fully realize his dream of becoming the wrestling world champion. He pushes his sons into the intensely competitive world of professional wrestling in the early 80s. And through tragedy and triumph, the brothers seek larger-than-life immortality on the biggest stage in their sport. Your main cast includes Zac Efron as Kevin Von Erich, Jeremy Allen White as Kerry Von Erich, and Holt McCallany as the father, Fritz Von Erich. So let's start off with the acting. This is without question Zac Efron's best work, and I didn't even know he had this kind of performance in him. Now, Kevin is a bit of a meathead, but he maintains the most reasonable and compassionate outlook of all the brothers, and Efron successfully achieves that aspect of the wrestler's personality, making it completely credible. And you're just so invested in him that as the tragedies mount and he goes numb with grief, you can't help but feel sorry for him. Holt McCallany is fantastic as the father, who drives his sons to succeed no matter what it costs each of them physically or mentally. If there is a villain in this film, it's him. Director Sean Durkin accomplished something special with The Iron Claw. The in-ring action scenes are shown with love, care, and depth, and they're just well shot. Honestly, there's very little to criticize about this movie. It's that well done. If I had to criticize something, it would be the movie gets a little slow at times, especially before the climax, but it ends really strong.
Yeah, how it ends.
It's so strong.
This movie is an emotional roller coaster to say the least. I didn't know what to expect from it, but I'm really glad I saw it. I highly recommend this movie. Even if you're not into wrestling, or even if you really hate that world, I still say go see it because it's just a gripping story. It's not going to be the kind of movie you revisit often, as it is difficult to watch, but watch it you should.
Let's go see the movie.
Its themes of family and overcoming toxic parenting are just amazing. Every actor gives it his all. You really, really feel for the brothers. So put this one in the win column for A24 Studios. It might be their best movie ever. And I have a feeling that it's going to be mentioned as one of the best films of last year, and I wouldn't be surprised to see it nominated for several awards, but we will see. Well, that's it for me this week. Thank you for listening. Join me next week when I'll find some other movie to go see on a cold January night in Philadelphia. So click that like button, subscribe, leave a comment, share this video with friends and enemies alike. And as always, I thank you for giving me your valuable time, and I'll see you next week. Take care.